I forced my boyfriend to an open relationship, but now that he is seeing other women, I wanted to close it, but he doesn't want to. I never thought it would turn out like this. I 24F Emma and my boyfriend Jake 26M started dating 3 years ago. Everything felt perfect. He was steady, loving, and always there for me. But somewhere along the line, I started feeling this itch, like there was something more out there that I was missing. I loved Jake, I really did, but the idea of exploring something new just wouldn't leave my mind. One night, while we were curled up on the couch watching some random movie, I finally brought it up. "Jake," I said, trying to sound as casual as possible, "what do you think about opening up our relationship? You know, just to see what it's like." I could see the shock on his face. "You mean, seeing other people?" he asked, and I could hear the hesitation in his voice. "Yeah," I said, trying to keep things light. "It doesn't mean I love you any less. I just think it could be fun, something exciting for both of us." Jake looked uncomfortable, and I could tell he wasn't thrilled with the idea. But I kept bringing it up, trying to paint it as this amazing adventure we could go on together. I didn't want him to feel like I was bored with him, I just wanted to experience something different, something new. Eventually, Jake gave in. "Okay, let's try it," he said one night, even though I could tell he wasn't fully on board. I was thrilled, thinking this would be a great way to spice things up. We set some ground rules and agreed to communicate openly. I started seeing this guy from work that I'd always had a bit of a crush on, while Jake hesitated, like he was still unsure. But then, something unexpected happened. Jake met someone, Lily. She was confident, vibrant, and brought out a side of Jake I hadn't seen before. They started seeing each other, and to my surprise, Jake seemed to enjoy it. A lot. I could see this spark in him that I hadn't noticed before, and honestly, it scared me. I didn't expect to feel so jealous. The idea of Jake with someone else, of him enjoying time with another girl, was too much. What had seemed so exciting in theory now felt like a huge mistake. One night, after Jake came back from a date with Lily, I couldn't hold it in anymore. "Jake," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "I don't think I want to do this anymore. I thought I could handle it, but it's too much. I want us to go back to how things were." But Jake didn't look relieved or even agree with me. Instead, he looked conflicted. "Emma, you were the one who pushed for this," he said, his voice calm but firm. "I've actually started to enjoy it. I don't think I want to stop just yet." I was stunned. I never imagined Jake would be the one who wanted to keep this going. I always thought he'd be the one to want things back to normal. But now, he was the one who had gotten into it, and I was the one struggling. Weeks went by, and the tension between us only grew. Jake kept seeing Lily, and I felt like I was losing him, like I had opened a door that I couldn't close. I regretted ever bringing up the idea in the first place. What we had before was enough, more than enough, but now it felt like everything was slipping away. I wanted so badly to go back to the way things were, but Jake was already too invested in his newfound freedom. Our relationship, which had once felt so solid, was now crumbling right in front of me. I had to face the painful truth that my experiment had backfired, and now I was left wondering if we could ever find our way back to what we once had, or if we had lost it for good. Am I the a-hole for finding someone else when wife opened our relationship? I, 29M, and my wife, 30F, have been together for 7 years and married for 4. Last year, she came up with the idea of open relationship to try out new things. I said it's not something comfortable for me and would like to stay monogamous. It felt weird because it came out of nowhere. We were doing good and planning to build a family together. After my reply, she insisted a lot. In the end, I decided to give it a try. Here are the boundaries she set. You should always prioritize the spouse instead of the other partner. Always use protection. Do not bring the partner to the shared house. Do not form overly emotional connections. I told her I am not sure if I can do some of these things. I am an emotional person, though I love the physical part too. She said it's okay, I will be able to do it, and it's hard for men to form emotional relationships in such cases anyways. She found a partner quickly and easily. My wife was my first relationship partner, so I was not confident in myself. I did not have great chances when I was in my 20s. Eventually, after clearing out most of my work, I decided to try finding a partner in my spare time. Surprisingly, I was flocked with interest from younger or around my age women. I knew maturing and aging did a great job for me, but not to this extent. I started talking to multiple people but decided to go ahead with only one of them. When I shared this information with my wife, she seemed surprised but congratulated me. She said she is shocked how beautiful this woman is, and I was able to get her. It has been 10 months since finding a partner, but the more I got to know them and spent time with them, we formed an emotional connection together. This woman is aware of my situation and respects my boundaries. I realized I lost emotional and physical connection with my wife over time. I know one of the boundaries were about emotional connections and prioritizing the spouse, but I told her I was not sure if I could comply with some of these. I had a difficult talk with my wife last week about my situation. She immediately offered closing the relationship and going to couples counseling, but I am not interested, to be honest. She feels no different than a friend for me, and I am afraid I built resentment for her due to the open relationship situation. I told her it would just extend the misery for me, and I would like to have a divorce. She flipped and cried, saying I am throwing everything away, just for a fling. I, 25F, begged my partner, 28M, for an open relationship. 8 months in, he left. I, 25F, begged for an open relationship. 8 months and he leaves me. 8 months ago, I, 25F, asked my partner 28M, for an open relationship as I got bored with him. Nothing wrong, but he just didn't excite me much, and he agreed, but he proceeded to tell me there's a catch. If he catches feelings for a partner he's going to leave me for her, and that's exactly what happened, and I want him back in my arms. He left me for his new partner, 28-29ish. What can I do to win the love of my life back? Update 1, Update, I, 25F, begged for an open relationship. 8 months and he leaves me. Probably nobody asked for this, but here's an update. I was kicked out of his house last Sunday, that's 6 days now, and I excruciatingly miss him. I will do anything to get him to return to me, but he looks happy on social media with his new partner that I'm pretty sure he was cheating on me with. Anyways, I tried calling him, no answer. I saw him in public and he pretend to not even know who the fuck I was. He won't acknowledge my existence, so I went to our former place just to talk, and things got hostile. His new GF hates me for some reason, I didn't even know her, and she proceeded to try and attack me, while he tried to split us up and get me out the door. When he had his back turned, she maced me. And now he's trying to file a restraining order on me. The hell did I do wrong? She attacked me and pepper sprayed me. How can I convince him he's dating a psychopath? Update 2, 25F, 28M, my ex followed through with his restraining order on me. This will probably be the last update. The restraining order has been filled, and I am not allowed within 100 feet of my ex Harry and his new GF Jess. I'm planning to move back to my home in Arizona and start over. They're happy, and I just want to find peace with myself. Thanks for everyone's advice and opinions. Yes, I was already in therapy, and I am still in therapy. Please, anyone my age or younger, listen to my advice. TikTok is not cool, please delete it, it's done me nothing but harm, and other people's stupidity can really poison your minds. In living proof. Thank you, take care. I found out my girlfriend had been cheated on me, so I got my revenge in the best way. Olivia and I had been together for 3 years. From the outside, our relationship seemed perfect. We shared countless adventures, laughed at the silliest things, and supported each other through thick and thin. But over the past few months, things started to shift. Olivia became more distant, constantly absorbed in her phone and spending long hours away, always citing work or social obligations. One evening, as Olivia took a long shower, I found myself alone with her phone. An unsettling feeling gnawed at me, and I decided to take a peek. What I found confirmed my worst fears: a series of messages from a guy named Ryan, filled with flirtatious and intimate content. My heart dropped as I realized that Olivia had been unfaithful. The betrayal was a knife to the heart, but I knew I had to handle it with care. Determined to address this betrayal, but wanting to be strategic, I began gathering evidence. I took screenshots of the incriminating messages, recorded the dates and times, and compiled everything meticulously. My plan was to confront Olivia, but I wanted her to understand the full impact of her actions. I decided to take it a step further. I reached out to Ryan, posing as a concerned friend of Olivia's. I spun a story about how Olivia was planning to break up with me soon and suggested that Ryan should be cautious. Ryan, believing my tale, began to distance himself from Olivia, leaving her confused and disoriented as she noticed his sudden withdrawal. The day of reckoning came. I arranged for a serious conversation with Olivia. When she arrived, I presented her with all the evidence I had collected. Her eyes widened in shock as she saw the screenshots and realized that Ryan was no longer interested. She stammered and tried to come up with excuses, but I was resolute. I told her that the trust between us was shattered beyond repair and that our relationship was over. Her reaction was a mix of anger and guilt, but I stayed firm. I knew that moving on was the only way to reclaim my sense of self. I ended the conversation and walked away from the relationship that had once meant so much to me. But I wasn't done yet. I decided to make sure Olivia faced the consequences of her actions. I confided in a few close friends, sharing the story of what had transpired. While I didn't seek to publicly shame her, I wanted the truth to be known among those who mattered. Olivia's reputation took a hit, and she had to navigate the fallout from her betrayal. For me, it wasn't about exacting revenge. It was about regaining my dignity and finding closure. I threw myself into my passions, reconnected with old friends, and took time to heal. I focused on personal growth and self-improvement, determined to emerge stronger from this experience. Olivia, meanwhile, was left to confront the reality of her actions. She faced the impact of her betrayal, not just in our relationship but also in her social circles. It wasn't the sweet taste of revenge I might have imagined, but it was a form of justice. I took control of my life and moved forward, knowing that I deserved to be in a relationship built on trust and respect. With time, I found a new path, one where I could be appreciated and valued. It wasn't an easy journey, but it was one that led me to a brighter future. I found out that my girlfriend was cheating on me, so I made her life miserable. I'm James, and for the longest time I believed in the fairy tale. I thought my girlfriend, Emily, and I had something special. We had been together for 3 years that, at least to me, felt like the beginning of forever. Emily was everything I'd ever wanted: smart, kind, and seemingly devoted. We shared dreams, laughter, and the kind of intimate connection that made me believe we were building a life together. But life, as they say, has a way of surprising you. Over the past few months, things started to change, though the signs were subtle at first. Emily began spending more time on her phone, her once open demeanor grew reserved, and our evenings together felt emptier. I brushed off these changes as stress from work or the occasional rough patch. After all, relationships aren't always smooth sailing. The real turning point came on an ordinary Wednesday. I decided to come home early from work, hoping to surprise Emily with her favorite dinner. As I walked through the door, the apartment was eerily quiet. I could hear the faint sound of voices coming from our bedroom. I assumed Emily was on the phone, but something in my gut told me otherwise. I crept toward the bedroom, my heart pounding in my chest. When I pushed the door open just enough to peek inside, I was met with a scene that I could hardly believe. Emily was in bed with another man, someone I didn't recognize. My world stopped spinning for a moment, and I felt an icy wave of disbelief and pain. The image of them together was burned into my mind, and I struggled to breathe through the shock and hurt. When they noticed me, the look of sheer panic on Emily's face was almost as painful as the betrayal itself. I stood there, numb, as the reality of what I'd just seen crashed over me. The relationship I had trusted and invested in had been shattered by lies and infidelity. I couldn't confront her right then, I needed time to process. The next few days were a blur of anger, sadness, and a deep sense of betrayal. I knew I had to act, not just for myself, but to ensure Emily understood the full impact of her actions. First, I reached out to our closest friends and family. I didn't do this out of malice, but I wanted them to know the truth, what had really happened. I wanted Emily to face the consequences of her choices, to understand that there were repercussions for breaking the trust that had bound us together. Then came the more personal part, dismantling the life we had built. I began by canceling our shared plans and obligations. We had trips and commitments that were now left in limbo. I withdrew my financial support and started to disentangle our lives. I wanted Emily to feel the weight of what she had done, to understand the void she had left behind. Emily tried to reach out, to apologize and mend things, but the damage was irreparable. Her pleas fell on deaf ears. The trust between us was gone, and the emotional bond we once shared was now a painful reminder of what had been lost. I was left to pick up the pieces, to rebuild my life from the ground up. In the aftermath, I focused on my own healing and growth. I took time to reflect on what had happened and how I could move forward. The betrayal was a harsh lesson, but it also provided clarity. I learned about trust, self-respect, and the importance of recognizing the signs of a relationship faltering. As time went on, I found strength in the experience. It wasn't easy, and there were days when the hurt felt unbearable, but I emerged from it wiser and more resilient. I hoped that Emily learned something from this situation, though that was beyond my control. For me, the most important lesson was about valuing myself and understanding that sometimes, the most painful experiences lead to the greatest personal growth. And so, I moved forward with a renewed sense of self, ready to embrace the future with a clearer understanding of what I deserved and what I would no longer tolerate.